It was 2004 and the gaming landscape was as strong as it got, with games like Half-Life 2, Halo 2, GTA San Andreas, Metal Gear Solid 3, and World of Warcraft were popping up. But there was a game that wasn't from a AAA studio, but instead mostly just by one man. The game was called Cave Story or Daokotsu Monogatari in Japanese. Why is there Monogatari in the title? I hate Monogatari. Uh, um. Anyways, it was a retro-esque platformer inspired by the likes of Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, both of which being two of my favorite Metroidvanias. But what the developer Daisuke Amaya didn't know was that it was going to inspire thousands of other independent game developers to make their own games. Without this, we wouldn't have gotten games like Celeste, Undertale. Wait, why does this guy seem familiar? Yume Nikki. Oh man, even thinking about this game makes me sad. And while all of these games had their own inspirations, it was Cave Story that inspired the developers to have the courage to make a game all on their own alone. And while all of these games are good, today we are going to talk about one particular indie gem, Hollow Knight. 10 years after the release of Cave Story, a game titled Hollow Knight was released in Kickstarter.com, seeking 35,000 Australian dollars, and it was a success, receiving more than $57,000 by the end of the year. The stakes were very high for Team Cherry, consisting of 4 people: Eric Gibson, William Pellen, and Jack Wine as the game developers, and Christopher Larkin as the music composer. This was going to be their first impression, and they wanted it to be big and bold, and lo and behold, the small indie game was on its way to become the bad to thrash AAA studios, and in 2017, Hollow Knight entered the public consciousness. Is using the black screen 3 times just at the start of the video too much? Forget about it. Now, this is impressive stuff. They did not make the fundraisers wait for 6 years and then give a really great product, to be honest, like Omori, or give them a broken game like Mighty Number 9, which honestly I haven't played till now, but from the word of mouth I can figure out it isn't really a good game. Or just did not steal the money of the fundraisers. And instead giving them what they wanted and more and more and more, receiving praise from both critics and audiences, which is quite rare considering. Uh, just look at this. Okay, so first of all, do I like the game? Yes. Do I have some criticisms? Yes too. And I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I just want to put forward my honest opinion. Moving on, let's look at the graphics of the game. It looks beautiful. Just look at it. A lot of work has been gone into this, the hand-drawn animations especially. I've also seen many people draw comparisons to this game's art style to Cuphead's, another toughest nail hand-drawn platformer. But these both games are very different, and of course Cuphead looks better. It is a much more linear and shorter game when compared to Hollow Knight, so I do not really know where these comparisons are coming from. In fact, Hollow Knight is so long that I have churned in about 61 hours and I have just 102%ed the game out of a possible 112. Man, that's long. I have yet to complete the Radiance fight because she is really hard. I've also yet just completed the first Pantheon in the Godmaster DLC. Haven't really touched Grim Troop including Path of Pain. And I do not know which monster designed the 4th Zord fight. Another thing that Hollow Knight nails is the landmarks. It is one of the most important things in the Metroidvania because it helps us navigate without the real use of a map. It is also really commendable how well it uses the landmarks. Before this, I never thought that any game would be able to use landmarks as finely as Super Metroid, but this game does so in the same quality on a much larger scale, and in my opinion, that shouldn't be gotten unnoticed. But I do have criticisms with the graphics. It is actually one of the criticisms that many people seem to have, that the areas are really repetitive. Now, some people will say that it is not really all about the presentation, but it gets really repetitive seeing the same dark, dingy hallways every time. It almost seems like it is discouraging exploration, which I'm pretty sure Team Cherry would have liked to avoid as much as possible. Now, there are some exceptions, but Fog Canyon is too short. Crystal Peak requires minimal backtracking, so you won't be seeing much of it except maybe one easy dream boss. The only real exception to the repetitive areas is maybe Green Path, which, unironically enough, is my favorite area of the game. Now, let's look at Super Metroid. This game doesn't have too much variety. You go around exploring stuff and fight around with the fauna of Zeebs with a very basic and clunky combat system. But there's a but. In my opinion, Super Metroid abolishes the problem of repetitive scenery with the help of comparatively much smaller map than most Metroidvanias and being really short. In fact, it took me just around 6 to 7 hours in my first playthrough. Now, look, I may sound like I'm licking Super Metroid a bit too much, and complaining about a game being too long and giving us too much content is dumb. But Hollow Knight, I'm reviewing Hollow Knight as a package, and as a package, it gets visually repetitive really fast. This is a complaint I also had with Symphony of the Night. Now that I think about it, Hollow Knight just feels like a bigger, more expanded version of that. It also has a very similar vibe and level design to it. Okay, now let's talk about those two. About the gameplay. In actuality, this is the stuff that good gamers get when they reach heaven. This may sound like a hyperbole, but when I say that Hollow Knight has the best difficulty curve I've ever seen in a video game, I mean it. The game slowly eases you into its difficulty curve and then says, "Hey, I'm gonna throw the white palace at your face, boy." And then the game throws white palace at your face. But, with enough determination, skill, and most importantly, frustration, you will be able to conquer even the white palace. And that is what I love about this game. It is challenging but fair. Mostly. I only get 2 PTSD flashbacks of the Watcher Night per day, and I consider that an achievement. One criticism that many people seem to have, but I don't agree with, is that the game is too open. Like, in my opinion, it is a Metroidvania. It is supposed to be open. I don't have much to say about that, but if you are having trouble, the solution is to explore. You will find a way. I completed the whole game without a guide. The game can feel a bit boxy though. I know I should have talked about this in my graphics section, but it also affects the gameplay, especially the platforming, of course. So it's not a big deal. Basically, in my opinion, it wouldn't have hurt to have a couple of slopes. And just like the visuals, the gameplay also gets a bit stale after the 40-hour mark, to be honest. After all, you can only do so much with the same formula of dodge attack in your combat system. Now don't get me wrong, the combat system is probably the best combat system I have ever seen in a 2D game. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't get sick of it after a while. Now, I hear some of you saying, "Of course it got old. You played the game for like 60 hours. So, what did you want me to do then? Just play till the false ending to milk out views while the Silksong hype is still up?" Nope, I'm not gonna do that. Hell, now I should be reviewing a Helluva Boss. By the way, Helluva Boss is my next review, so stick with me if you are interested in that. And that is the reason I didn't complete the full game. It was just too repetitive for me. And it really isn't the combat to blame here. It is more of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deal for the combat. But the playtime is the culprit. And that is the whole problem. Hollow Knight as a package is, how do I explain this? Mostly just the same thing repeated over and over and over. But at the same time, it is one of the most consistently quality games I've ever played. Especially when considering that most great games choose the motto of quality over quantity, when Hollow Knight chooses quantity and quality. For example, compare Hollow Knight's open world with Ubisoft's open world, or hell, even GTA's open worlds. I doubt if these games can even be called open world at this point. They are just a list of chores. They give you this huge, beautiful open world to explore. But when you are really exploring it, you notice just how empty they are, filled with meaningless collectibles and copy-pasted side quests. It is honestly disappointing because even the side quest and the main quest are just go to point A and go to point B and do this thing and do that thing. It is honestly very disappointing. Now, I have no beef with linear games. My favorite video game is linear. Half freaking life is linear. But when I play an open world game, I play it because I want to play an open world game. And Hollow Knight doesn't disappoint in that regard. Hollow Knight's open world is, in my opinion, its greatest strength. The amount of freedom you are given is honestly astounding, with newer open world games being afraid to leave your hands. Like, how could you mess up cool ancient murderer simulator? Just how? But then there are game companies like Nintendo which say, hey, I'm Reggie, the former COO of Nintendo, and I am going to innovate. Here you go, play Breath of the Wild. And my god, this game is so good. This is the stuff that gives gamers dopamine in their head. But at the same time, it was expected. Nintendo is the best gaming company since like the NES era. But when a much smaller company like Team Cherry pulls that off, that is what I call impressive. One of the biggest criticisms I heard from Breath of the Wild was that it had this huge open world with really empty landscapes. Now, I think it works in its advantage actually. The game mostly doesn't provide you any kind of checklist or stuff like that. So you stumble upon content on your own. But in between those moments of contents, you get this quiet peace while exploring. And it is beautiful and immersive. And the game gets to tell you that, hey, bro, I want to tell you something. You haven't paid for like 2 hours without breaking the immersion, and I love it. It is just so relaxing. Now let's look at Hollow Knight. This game throws barrage of actually good content at you without giving you a single breather for a second. The more I played the game, the more I realized just how samey the game got. And the thing is, the gameplay didn't have to change genre to genre like the open world games I mentioned. It just had to give me a time to breathe. But Hollow Knight doesn't do that. So you play the game, you play the game, you play the game until you finally get sick of it and just don't play it for a while. And that is in my opinion the greatest flaw of Hollow Knight, the pacing. It is just not very engaging after a while. Now I am no game developer, so I won't be able to give any solutions to this problem. But what I am is a reviewer, and I will do my job. If I started to verify that my criticisms were valid or not based on if I could find the solution for them or not, I'd have to give every game a 10 out of 10, and I'm not gonna do that. Seriously, I will not do that. Credit where credit is due. I'm really impressed that I didn't have to use a guide during my first playthrough. It is just astonishing because these games, these Metroidvania games, always has a way to confuse me and get me lost, and somehow always manage to get me look into a walkthrough. Hell, the game I've been praising for so long, Super Metroid, borderline requires a walkthrough at certain points, and I unashamedly use them. About the music is good stuff. Now this ain't the kind of music which I would casually hear, but Christopher Larkin knocked it out of the park at music which enhanced the atmosphere of the game, and I'd much rather have a game like Hollow Knight have music which enhances the atmosphere rather than stuff I would casually listen to. The Half-Life and Portal games come to mind when I think about this. Now this isn't to imply that atmospheric pieces could not be good for listening to casually. Again, I'm really sorry, but Super Metroid has that music. I just love that music. Like you could hear it casually, and the game's atmosphere is also enhanced by it. But I do not think this is a valid criticism, as Hollow Knight and Super Metroid take very different paths when it comes to music. So I won't be comparing them to or criticizing Hollow Knight for that. Basically, all I've got to say is the music is good. There is also an ongoing storyline in this game, which I honestly didn't get and had to watch Mossback's video on it to understand. The game pushes you forward through its huge non-linear open world without even forcing you to listen to its story, which a lot of games love to do. Though what I particularly like about the story is that major plot beats are actually just optional reading material, which is much appreciated, especially when a game's lore is this huge. A lot of effort has been put into this game story too. Uh, if Mossback wasn't just speaking gibberish, which I don't believe he was. Even though I didn't get anything that was happening in the story, I really appreciate the approach to it. And in fact, me not understanding the story is also a positive thing because I wasn't searching for the lore, and so the people who did search for felt rewarded. And just because of how cryptic the storyline it guarantees discussion in the fan base, which is much appreciated, especially for the developers who would want everybody to talk about their game. It all just works in the game's advantage, something like FNAF story. Though if I had to nitpick something, it would have to be that I would have loved to see more of the environmental storytelling that the game was hinting at for so long. Now, there is some environmental storytelling, but it is mostly very basic stuff. There are dead bodies and people are dead here. It is dangerous. Stuff like that. Now I know this is Team Cherry's first game and I should probably not expect everything perfect from them, but still I'm reviewing this as a product first and Team Cherry's first game second. I would have liked to see it expanded on that. Like something similar to Gone Home. One of the major criticisms I had with Gone Home was that it was just you moving through hallways and reading stuff. But Hollow Knight isn't like that. It has real gameplay. So I do not think this is much of a criticism, but rather a missed opportunity. So I think I've explained enough how I feel about this game. And I like this game. I really do. I love most Metroidvanias in fact. Now please don't get offended, but I'm not gonna give this game a perfect 10 out of 10. I'm here to give my honest opinion, and my honest opinion is this game deserves an 8 out of 5. And it is a real damn good score by me. There are actually only 3 games which I would give a 9 or 9.5 to. And only one which I would give a perfect 10 to. So is this my favorite Metroidvania? Not really. Samus is still the queen for me. People are calling so many new Metroidvanias Hollow Knight ripoffs just by looking at the trailers sometimes, in fact. Even though Hollow Knight itself just feels like a glorified Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And calling a Metroidvania glorified Castlevania Symphony of the Night is the best compliment imaginable. Thank you for joining me on this video. Next time I will be reviewing Hello Boss, so if you are interested, stick with me. And now to abruptly end the video because I'm trying not to make myself forget about this running gag.